Some people pray for wealth, others pray just to survive. This is the story of Adesuwa Okori, a woman who escaped poverty through marriage, but lost her soul along the way. And what happened at the end gave her the worst shock of her entire life. Adesuwa Okori grew up with nothing. No parents, no safety net, no comfort. She lived in a small, leaking room at the edge of a forgotten neighborhood with her grandmother, Mama Eunice, the only family she had left in the world. Mama Eunice was old, frail, and tired. But she never showed it. Every day was a battle. Some mornings, they woke up with empty stomachs. Some nights, they slept hungry. 3 square meals a day was a dream they never dared to dream. When food came, Mama Eunice always ate last. And sometimes, not at all. "I'm not hungry," she would say, smiling weakly as she pushed the plate toward Adesuwa. But hunger had carved deep lines into her face. Lines of sacrifice Adesuwa was too young to understand. Mama Eunice did everything for her granddaughter. She washed clothes for strangers, cleaned other people's homes, endured insults and shame. Also Adesuwa could go to school. At night, Mama Eunice would kneel beside her bed and pray. Not for herself, but for one thing. "A good life for my child," she whispered. "Let her never suffer the way I did." As Adesuwa grew older, beautiful and intelligent, Mama Eunice began to hope for something specific. Not love, not happiness, but escape. Then fate answered Mama Eunice's prayers. Adesuwa met Richard Lawson, a man from one of the wealthiest families in the city. His life was everything hers was not. Big houses, expensive cars, powerful connections. When Mama Eunice heard about him, she did not hesitate. She guided Adesuwa carefully. How you speak matters. How you dress matters. How you behave matters. This marriage was not about romance. It was about survival. When the wedding day arrived, the entire neighborhood gathered. They whispered, "The poor girl has made it. Her grandmother's suffering is over." Mama Eunice cried that day. Not from sadness, but from hope. She believed her sacrifice had finally paid off. At first, Adesuwa called home. Short calls. Polite calls. Then the calls reduced. Then they stopped. Visits never came. Money never came. Excuses came instead. "I'm busy. My husband's family is strict. I'll visit next time." Next time never arrived. Adesuwa now lived in luxury. But with luxury came embarrassment. Her grandmother's poverty no longer fit into her new world. She didn't want her friends to know where she came from. So she erased it. Mama Eunice waited. Days became months. Months became years. She never complained. She never begged. When neighbors asked about Adesuwa, she smiled. "She's fine," she would say. "She's just busy." But at night, hunger and loneliness returned. She stared at the door, hoping it would open. It never did. Sometimes she whispered Adesuwa's name in her sleep. One evening, years later, Adesuwa received a call from an unfamiliar number. She almost ignored it. But something made her answer. "Is this Adesuwa Okori?" a man asked. "Yes," she replied. "This is the community clinic. An elderly woman named Eunice Okori was brought in this morning. She's asking for you." Her heart froze. Adesuwa drove faster than she ever had. When she arrived, the house looked worse than she remembered. Inside, Mama Eunice lay weak and fragile on a thin mattress. When she saw Adesuwa, her eyes lit up. No anger. No bitterness. Just relief. "I knew you would come," she whispered. Adesuwa broke down. "I'm sorry," she cried. "I forgot." Mama Eunice smiled faintly. "I didn't raise you to be rich," she whispered. "I raised you to be kind." She squeezed Adesuwa's hand once. And then, she was gone. Adesuwa Okori thought the pain ended with the burial. She was wrong. 3 days after Mama Eunice was laid to rest, Adesuwa returned to her luxurious home. The house felt cold. Empty. Not because it lacked people, but because guilt had followed her inside. That afternoon, her gate bell rang. A man stood outside. Mid-40s. Simple clothing. Calm but heavy eyes. "My name is Mr. Samuel Adeyemi," he said gently. "I need to speak with you about your grandmother." Adesuwa froze. Her heart sank before he even continued. They sat in her living room, expensive furniture, polished floors, silent walls. Mr. Samuel reached into his bag and pulled out an envelope. "She asked me to give this to you, if anything happened to her." Adesuwa's hands trembled as she took it. Inside was a handwritten letter. Her grandmother's handwriting. Weak. Shaky. But deliberate. Adesuwa began to read. "My child, if you are reading this, then I am gone. Do not cry too much. I lived long enough to see you escape suffering. That was always my prayer." Tears blurred Adesuwa's vision. "You wondered why I never complained, Why I never asked you for help, why I stayed silent even when hunger returned. Her chest tightened. It was because I made a promise. A promise to protect you even from yourself. Adesuwa stopped breathing. Mr. Samuel cleared his throat softly. Your grandmother worked with me, he said. Adesuwa looked up, confused. She sold her small piece of land years ago, he continued. The only thing she truly owned. Adesuwa's world tilted. She gave the money to your husband's family, he said quietly. Silence filled the room. She begged them not to reject you because of your background. Adesuwa's ears rang. They agreed to the marriage, but on one condition. Her heart pounded. That she would never interfere in your life again. Mama Eunice had agreed. No visits. No requests. No involvement. And most painful of all? No asking for help. She didn't want you humiliated, Mr. Samuel said. She believed silence was the price of your happiness. Adesuwa collapsed into sobs. Her grandmother didn't just raise her. She erased herself for her. But the truth wasn't done. There's more, Mr. Samuel said. Adesuwa looked up, terrified. Your grandmother fell sick months ago, he said. She needed money. Treatment. Adesuwa's breath caught. She refused to let us contact you. Why? Because she overheard something. Months earlier, Mama Eunice had borrowed a neighbor's phone. She had accidentally heard a loudspeaker call from Adesuwa's home. Her voice. Laughing. Mocking. She said, Mr. Samuel paused, struggling. She said she was glad she left that dirty village life behind. And that she never wanted to be reminded of where she came from. Adesuwa screamed. The words hit harder than death. Mama Eunice heard it. And chose silence. Mr. Samuel stood. One last thing, he said. Your husband's family never intended to keep you. Adesuwa looked up in shock. They already knew about your grandmother's sacrifice, he continued. They considered you temporary. As if summoned by truth, her phone rang. Her husband. She answered. Cold. Dismissive. We're filing for divorce, he said. My parents say you don't fit the image anymore. The line went dead. Wealth. Marriage. Status. Gone. In one breath. Adesuwa screamed, not from loss of luxury. But from realization. She had traded love for pride. And lost both. Days later, Adesuwa stood by Mama Eunice's grave. No makeup. No jewelry. No pride. Just regret. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't deserve you. The wind answered her silence. Adesuwa sold her belongings. She returned to the village. Not as a rich woman. But as a broken one. She built a small center in Mama Eunice's name. To help children who came from nothing. It didn't erase her guilt. But it honored the woman she failed. Never let success erase your humanity. Never let pride silence gratitude. And never forget. The people who sacrifice the most often ask for the least. Let me ask you. If you were Adesuwa, would you have acted differently? Can success ever justify abandoning those who suffered for you? Do you think forgiveness is possible after it's too late? Tell us in the comments. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Midnight Confessions for more emotional stories that expose life's hidden truths. Because some stories are not just told, they are felt.